I wanna begin with a quote here that has to do a bit more with, I guess, your perception of the journey itself. So the quote goes like this: "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." Now, this is Marcus Aurelius, and what does this mean? Let me quote him here, Marcus Aurelius. So, be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. So, I want you guys to kind of visualize this a little bit as well. A cliff is just exists. It's just there, right? Massive, standing tall, strong foundation. And because of that, right? Because of the strong foundation, because of the infrastructure, water, the ocean is just perpetually attacking it. Right? Water just crashes on the sides of the wall, and then comes to a stop. It doesn't really come to a stop, but it does calm down. And so the reason and my perspective with this quote in general is this: is the waters, right, the waves crashing around you is so relevant. As a trader, you're going to confront market waves constantly. The waves of the market will never escape you. Like you're always going to be surrounded by them. And so regardless of how aggressive sometimes the market comes, how slow sometimes the market approaches you, you do have to stand your ground. You want to be able to, right, have a foundation that you're already standing on, in which regardless of the strength of the waves around you, you're still able to tread those waters. And the same thing goes not to just your trading approach, your trading system in general, but in everything outside of the market itself as well. When you pursue this skill of trading and you seek to, develop this and progress and make this an income stream, there's going to be constant struggles. There's going to be hardships. There's going to be unexpected things that happen. And so I think really here is just, and part of it also starts to form you, which is what I think is very interesting about a cliff, right? A cliff, it does, it starts to kind of form what it is that you look like, and it's all based on how it is that you respond to it as well. And so when you're a cliff, you have no choice, right? The water is just going to keep coming at you basically nonstop. And that's just, it is what it is. And so here, there's going to be certain things that happen, whether it's financial situations, whether it is you adapting to market changes, becoming aware of, other things in your life that how you have zero power over coming your way, right? Health can happen, people around you. You can have, as traders, there's certain things that we have that are not in our control. Accounts, brokers, all these different things, right? And so that's why I wanted to share this with you guys, because through this process, you learn how to think about what is in your power and what isn't, and then also, okay, how do I respond to that? So something for you guys to hang on to here, as sometimes you feel like you're just getting abused by these waves. in the markets or life in general. Something here to think about. Now, I have another one to kind of build off of this, and this one here relates to a slightly different topic, but is the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Okay. So here's why I share this with you guys. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. So as we take positions, throughout the week by week and week by week, sometimes we put our focus on things outside of our control. And for example, how much money you want to make. Let's say Monday you're going to trade, and you're all right, well, I want to make $500 on Monday. Okay. So we put value on that. Right? This is an example. You put value on those $500 you want to make. Okay. Well, let me ask you all the question. Leave a comment. Is how much you make today completely in your control? So when we focus on that as an objective, what you realize is you don't have complete control over that outcome. You can do everything right and not make those $500. But if we're fixated on that, then you will have less control by default. And when we try to control the uncontrollable, we lose control. And this is where things can start to spiral. So a big part of this is, I think timing is the biggest thing. I think you do control how you utilize your time, but we don't have control over when things happen. So this is a big one, the less control we have, because I want you to focus on that. How many times have you gotten stuck on something specific, but there was just nothing that you were going to be able to do in reality, and you realize later, like, man, I really wasted a lot of time just thinking about something like that, for example. Same thing. You may want someone else's respect or admiration as a trader. You can't control other people's opinions. And I bring this up because I think, quote unquote, making it as a trader, when you have, whether it's family, friends, people who follow you, you want to kind of live up to other people. It's normal. But some of you are going to realize that you can get to certain levels, and it's just not going to, it doesn't matter. Because you can only control what you do. That's it. And even if you do something that's worth admiration, doesn't mean someone will admire you. It's impossible. So keep in mind, right? What do you value right now? In your trading process, where do you put your value? Whether it's in, your systems, whether it's in, how much money you have, you're working with, or you're looking to make, whether it's the respect of others, but where do you put your value for your journey? Because sometimes you may be doing some of this really well. Like, you could have great understanding of the technical analysis. You may have great risk management, but you just might be putting so much value into something that's not in your control, and there's just one thing that really creates a wall for you. Sometimes, and that's why I brought up timing, because I think the biggest thing is we want to, be this level, certain level of trading or income, when you might be on that path, but you just have to just keep the consistency and not force it. So something here for you guys to ponder. And here comes another one, and this is a little bit. I'm switching up the areas of trading here for you guys, but this one I love. I love this one so much. No man is free who is not master of himself. And this one's so good. This one's by Epictetus, who was a slave. So, no man is free who is not master of himself. And this one's so good, because that's what I think freedom is, that, right? Freedom comes with your own rules. So in order to acquire that, like for example, as traders, that's why this is such a, I don't know, like such a cool mirror, because you have a lot of people trade because they want some sort of freedoms, whether it's time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom. And all of those freedoms are, in my opinion, only acquired through master of self. So it's like the most fair, it's the most fair thing you can ask for, in my opinion. No man is free who is not master of himself. So this just puts the focus on this. It's like, okay, well, if we want to, let's just say, live, I don't know, let me know, leave a comment, where do you want to be in the world, like your dream location. Maybe it's to be a lot of different places, but let's say you've always wanted to live in Bora Bora. Okay, Bora Bora, cool. So, okay, now that's the desire, right? That's the freedom that we ask for. So it's only fair to ask for oneself to have the mastery of self to get that. So, okay, now you go, well, if that's the freedom that I'm looking for, what is it that I need to be doing? All right, here's what needs to be done, and then do my actions back that up. So I feel like it's the most fair process, because as a trader, you have mastery over risk, right? Mastery over impulsiveness, mastery over, executing your entry strategy, executing your exit strategy. You may have some sort of financial, investing that needs to be done consistently. If you have a portfolio, right, there's certain rules that you have for your portfolio. So it's basically the ruler of self. It's the most ironic thing about freedom is that you have to rule yourself. It's like you're free from outside of you, but you are confined from within, but not in as if you've trapped yourself, because you've intentionally created a structure that allows you to be free. Kind of the irony of freedom. Freedom is not free. Yeah, I love that quote too here in the chat. Lindsay says, this quote from your last Stoic session stuck with me. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, which is also Epictetus. So people that get to the highest level of success are the people that bounce back the best. Absolutely. So keep this in mind. I think, like, it's really easy to get so hyped on what we want, living life, like just going big, I want to be really rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to spend time with my family, all these things, all these desires, like, they're amazing, but there is a bigger cost, which is discipline. And it's only fair to kind of keep both aspects in awareness, which is Okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I want. Here's the desires. These are the wants, right? Okay, but are the do's, is the being and the actions, are those matching? Do those, you know, are those building the bridge towards the other side, which is where we want to go? So, something for you guys to keep in mind. And in relation to doing this, there's another one by a less popular Stoic, but I love this one too. It's very similar, but man conquers the world by conquering himself. So similar principles, same message, but I think it just makes it way more epic. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. And I think when we look big and we look at what is it that we want, building an empire, maybe you're building a business on top of your trading or something, or you want to, scale massive asset under management, a million, 10 million, 100 million, billions. But we have to start with ourselves. And in my experience, it's really easy, and it's way less stress, I guess you could say, or I think we get disillusioned with focusing outside of ourselves, that we almost feel like and this is why, and this is going to lead into a different phrase, but when you get caught up like listening to podcasts and reading books and listening to books, it's you're looking at, it's like you feel like you're in motion, but in reality you are in an ocean of information, but you're not moving, you're not going anywhere. Like, all the information is around you, but that doesn't mean that you're going anywhere. You're just kind of treading. So you have to conquer yourself, and that comes with actions, decisions. So I wanted to build off with this one. I thought it was really good, but here's another one that I came across that's a little bit, it's newer, not newer, but it's newer to me, which is the following: that's why the philosophers warn us not to be satisfied with mere learning, but to add practice and then training. For as time passes, we forget what we learned and end up doing the opposite, and hold opinions the opposite of what we should. So I'm gonna break this one down, because I know this one's a little bit longer. So here's what this means. I'm gonna read it one more time. That's why the philosophers warn us not to be satisfied with mere learning, but to add practice and then training. For as time passes, we forget what we learned and end up doing the opposite, and hold opinions the opposite of what we should. So what this means is this: I've definitely done this. We learn, we listen, information, it feels good. It's like, wow, I'm learning. And then we don't practice. Like, we just don't implement, we don't execute, we don't put it into practice consistently over and over and over and over and over again, until it becomes a habit, like a subconscious habit, and it's a part of you. But what happens is, when we've learned something, and you've heard something, you've read it, even frequently, but if it's never implemented, or not frequently enough, then because we've heard information before, we actually believe we believe that we are embodying the message, that information, that perspective, when in reality it's just something that you know but not something that you are. And this is one of the most dangerous places to be as a trader in anything, regardless. To know something but have convinced yourself that it's who you are, when in reality it's just something you know but not something and not someone that you are. And I mean, guys, all of us do this, but to different extents. And so, for example, you may know your entry strategy. Let's just say that, right? You may know exactly what you need to wait for in order to get into the market. And so you might already know this. You may have studied your entry model so much. But if you were to look at your last 50 trades, how many of those trades follow the exact entry model? How many were just impulsive? How many were just off of, just a feeling, just a desire? Were you just chasing the market? You may know to risk a certain percentage consistently, and that's something that you know in your head. You know this. But if you look back, if you check your own receipts, do you actually embody this? You may know that you should be, saving or investing a certain amount every week or as often as you get paid. But that doesn't mean you're doing it. Right? You might know how much rest you should get, or maybe you should meditate before these things. But it doesn't mean that implementation is there. And so with this phrase here, my bad, wilding out of here. I think the biggest thing is this, and again, this goes back thousands of years, which is just we need to add practice and training into learning. So my suggestion would be, when you feel like you hear something or you learn something and it kind of hits, that feeling where you're like, ooh, yeah, that one's like, it was like a direct message to me. Then at that moment, I would take some time to stop learning and go and apply vigorously until it's just a part of who you are. I think it holds a lot more weight. So, maybe you think, oh, well, I've seen structure, I can see it, but okay, can you mark it up? Can you do that? Can you actually follow along over and over and over and over and over again? You may know, okay, I should be managing my stop loss in a specific way, but is that what you're actually doing? And I wanted to give you guys a couple perspectives on, I guess, just kind of like the journey. Like, there's something that happens when things aren't going at the pace that we wanted them to go. And this is one that I have to think about often, because as someone who works out, you can put in more reps or just move more, walk more, run more, and you're gonna get more results, right? Like, you do more reps, you get better. You move more, you burn more calories, etc. But as a trader, by just upping your risk percentage, it doesn't mean better results. By trading more, it doesn't mean you're going to make more money. So how you see progression, right, how you see growth in this process is very different. Very, very different. And so here's one that I'm going to give you guys, I think, two that will give you a good perspective. And there's this one, it's events do not just happen, but arrive by appointment. Events do not just happen, but arrive by appointment. What does this mean? So, we might have an event that we want to happen. You know, you might want to make your first $10,000 trading, 6-figure trader. That's like a really popular desire. But it's not going to just happen because you want it to. It's going to happen when it's supposed to. And that's what we don't have full control over, is when. You can definitely guide the timing of it. You can help by following your system, by investing in your accounts, by staying disciplined. You can definitely guide this for it to happen more quickly, but you can't force it. But this, in my opinion, this quote is basically saying, like, success is going to leave clues. So this is going to happen because it's appointed to happen. It's not saying you don't do anything. Right? An appointment is what? Is something that's intentional. An appointment is not just decided by one person. It's a mutual decision. It's an availability met by your own decision making. So the way I look at this phrase, and this is just how I perceive it, is if you want to set an appointment for an event, then you also have to get the time and space. How do you get this time and space, right? How can you get an appointment with results that you want? Right? That result would have to qualify you to happen. Imagine you want to, all right, here's just imagine this, right? Imagine you want to hang out with Elon Musk. All right, you want to get an appointment with Elon Musk. Okay, well, how is that going to happen? Well, you probably have to become someone in order for that to even be considered, right? You need to meet certain standards, maybe have a certain level of influence, and obviously there's something that Elon would need from you as well, right? But you have to become somebody in order for that to happen. So I think with our trading results, it's a similar process. You have to become someone so that you can qualify for an appointment with the results that you want. It doesn't happen by accident. It's designed, it's structured, and eventually it can get scheduled. So in reality, if you're doing the right things over a certain amount of time, then in a way you actually can start to see how you can schedule an appointment with your results. Like, for example, if you were to do a certain percentage year after year while investing a certain amount every single year, you can roughly see when you can get certain results. Now, you would have to be someone that can achieve those things consistently over time, but you can kind of start to see it. So I'm going to give you guys one more quote. I'm deciding which one. Okay. And this one is perspective for the process, the journey, just like what progression looks like in anything difficult. And it's this: what man actually needs is not tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. This is Viktor Frankl. What man actually needs is not tensionless state. So what he's saying is you don't need, peace. You don't need something where there's just there's no quote unquote negativity. That's not it. It's being intentional with what is worth it, right? Striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. So realizing, okay, what I want is this skill. What I want is this outcome. So ideally, I want to be able to have my own time. I want to be able to choose where I want to be, where I live. I want to choose how I give my time to the world. I want to choose how I spend time with my family. Okay. So now that is a goal, then it's like, okay, is this worth the struggle and the pursuit? So instead of like, how do I go through the easiest way possible, or how do I make my life so easy and stress free? It's more so, okay, is what I'm fighting for, or is what I want worth the fight? And when you have that perspective, or when you've made that decision and you have that clarity, then it's like you're not going back to like, oh, why, like this is hard. Like, no, you already knew that. You already knew that coming in. It's like, imagine you want to be the best MMA fighter in the world without getting hit. It's not gonna happen. It's like, imagine you want to get into incredible shape, amazing physique, but you don't want to sweat though. You don't want the feeling, the pain of lifting heavy weight, of being out of breath. So, and I think that's why, honestly, like, I really love this quote. Like, the more I look at it, I'm like, this is amazing. Because it's like, we forget that the things that we want come with a cost, right? It comes with, there's an exchange. Whether it's energy, whether it's just resilience in general. And I think when you have that in mind, like when it's just in your realm of awareness, you almost embrace it. You go, that's right, I did sign up for this. I didn't sign up to learn how to trade without any sort of inconvenience. No. Like, I did this to ultimately get a result. So now I just need to do what it takes instead of just find a way for it to get easier, right? Find a way for there to be less struggle. So it's, I think this just adds a layer to like embracing the struggle, but now you know why. You're just remembering it's like, oh, that's right. It's worth this or not. And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it for you? So instead of asking for no pressure or no stress, no tension, it's choosing or remembering, I did decide to do this despite having to change my habits, despite having to transform the way I look at life, the way I look at myself, the way I look at money, the way I respond to something I didn't see coming. Because changing your beliefs, changing your perception of the world, improving impulsivity, that is going to come with tension, 100%. Change usually happens with friction. Like, you really don't just change direction without some sort of friction. So, something to keep in mind. So here's a few quotes from Stoic philosophers that I think directly connect to, the actual trading process and then the journey itself. So, something to keep in mind, guys. You can soak this in, see what applies to you, see what maybe you feel like you already kind of have that sort of philosophy, and some of these things, again, they might not be new to you, but it doesn't mean that it's already a part of you. So thank you guys for your time. I will see you all tomorrow on our New York session live stream, where we will be marking up and going about everything here. You already know, Monday through Friday, indices, currencies, commodities, anything that moves, we'll probably look at it. So much love, you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.